we want things to be complicated because we think life is complicated. You know, sometimes life sucks, and it's easier to explain away the fact that it's not fair if we say it's complicated.
Hey guys, Dr. Viv here, and welcome on Reset with Dr. Viv. Today I have got a guest in the house, Bandy Champeau, and Bandy Champeau is the founder of ExploringExpression, a company helping parents and educators become their own best expression so that they can make learning fun, easy, and natural for the children and themselves. Yes. But before we get into Brandy and her story, guys, if you've not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, or if you've not already subscribed to the podcast, why not, guys? Press subscribe now. So press subscribe now, press subscribe. All links are in description. And if you're not already following me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, all the lot, like guys, come on. I look forward to connecting with you. All links are in description. Right, Brandy. I love the name, by the way.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I am doing fabulous.
Yeah, nice.
Beautiful day here.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And to be fair, I guess, you know, it's the weather has been nice right now, but I'm in the UK. I know you're in the US. It's nice to see to see the sun, but you know, we enjoy it when we see it, knowing that it may change at some point. But yeah. So Brandy, my gosh, you have really been a survivor. You are like a definition of a survivor, like experiencing divorce, pregnancy, heart failure. Like, I mean, tell me more about all that.
Well, I like to say I've become very good at rising from the ashes. Because I've been through several things, and there was a 2-year period of my life where everything just seemed to crash and crash and crash. Like I had told before, I was in an abusive marriage, and when I got out, it was really a struggle to leave it. And a lot of people who've been in abusive situations understand that you don't just leave and then that's the end of it and life is rosy. And I ended up I had to send my children to my parents for 6 months because my husband was making threats. And he eventually ended up stealing my car. And he and his buddies came and stole everything out of my house. So if you can imagine, they took the stove, they took all the kids' Christmas presents, because this is on New Year's Eve that's happened. And a couple weeks later, I fell and I broke my knee. And so Valentine's Day, this was like 2012, Valentine's Day, I was without a husband, without my children, in a wheelchair, so I couldn't work, in an empty house, waiting on my husband to come and kill me. Wow. And yeah, and it's moments like this that you have to make a decision. You know, you have to say, is this my story? Is this the end of my story? And that's kind of where, you know, I had been through some stuff beforehand, like previous tornadoes and homelessness and stuff. And so I had started that survival mindset, but that moment sitting there with nothing but me and a wheelchair really cemented the idea that I am meant for more than this. This will not be the end of my story. And that's where the survival strategies for when life isn't fair began.
Wow. And tell me, like, because a lot of people, you know, when they talk of abuse, like even through the pandemic, you begin to hear that abuse was really high and increased, you know, and it's a tough place because a marriage is a marriage and you want to stay with your partner. You know, how do you bring yourself to that point where you're eventually able to say, you know what, this can no longer go on? Because a lot of people stay on and you hear all sort of stories. So how did you, and it's for different reasons, even from like a religion point of view, like, you know, you want to keep things together. How were you able to say, no, this abuse cannot go on?
For myself personally, there's always a tipping point. There's always that moment where you notice that you've given up more than you're willing to give. And for me, I had 2 children, and they were children from previous relationships, so they weren't his. And my children had brought it to my attention that they did not like me with him. I was not the mother that they knew.
Right.
You know, I've always been, you know, before that, I've always been a single parent, except for this brief period of time, you know. I've always been a single mother, and I've always prided myself on being strong and being in control and being purposeful about what I did. You know, my older son has autism and special needs, and so going through life, I've always, while I haven't necessarily had a plan, and it hasn't necessarily gone right, I've always gone through with a sense of purpose. And I didn't know I had lost that until my children brought it to my attention that, you know, we missed the mom we had.
Wow. So it took your kids saying something to you to realize that you had lost a part of yourself that was now even impacting on your kids.
Because I'd gotten used to it. You know, I had gotten so used to putting myself between his issues and them, and taking the brunt of and I call it the brokenness inside of him, that you no longer see it. It becomes regular life. It becomes normal. And sometimes it takes somebody else to say, hey, you know, this isn't normal.
How did you get over that whole experience? Because when people have hurt you, you know, sometimes like it can stay with you and hurt you and, you know, sort of keep you down in a place that you really don't want to be. How did you get over the whole thing and get to, like, say, to forgive, or what was the process for you? And I'm asking this because this is a place that many people tend to get to and don't know how to navigate.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have 2 philosophies in life, and one of which is actually one of my survival strategies. And what it is this: you can either be bitter or you can be better. You cannot be both.
Wow.
And when I was a teenager, my parents, we lived in Oklahoma at the time, and my parents moved to Nebraska. And as a typical teenager, I was like, I don't want to go to Nebraska. You know, we grew up in the Air Force. I was tired of moving, you know. And so one day they got me tickets to a show for my birthday. And I came back from the show and they had moved. And I left, you know. And it took me a long, long time to get over that and to rebuild a relationship with my parents after that, you know, that betrayal. Mm-hmm. But at some point, you have to decide you're going to be better for you, because it doesn't hurt my ex-husband if I was mad at him. He doesn't care. Mm-hmm. He's already moved on with whatever he's doing. And so I had to say, I love myself enough to not necessarily get over it, but get through it and get past it.
Wow. You love yourself enough. And, you know, that's a powerful bit, because you suddenly realize that many of us have been used to loving other people, forgetting ourselves. Mm-hmm. When you are central to everything. We love other people, but we don't love ourselves. So there are people who are in positions where they don't even know what self-love is, or if they even deserve love. And that means you then get to take on things that you probably shouldn't or wouldn't if you had love for yourself. How do you build that?
Baby steps. You build it, and you know, I say you fake it till you make it. You know, kind of self-love and self-care is the basis to what, you know, my company is all about education for children, but it starts with the parent, because my philosophy is your children will do what you do. Right. They will do what you do, not what you say. And if they see you not loving and taking care of yourself and working towards your best expression, why would they think themselves capable of it? And so what I had to start by doing is saying, at the time, I didn't love myself enough, but I loved my children enough to do for me what I needed to so I could be the best for them. And then the evolution occurs as it's going on. It's not an overnight process. It's a path. It's a journey.
And that's powerful, because it's almost like sometimes we need to lean in to find a greater purpose to then give us a reason or a why to why we need to keep pushing and being our best self. Mm-hmm. And for you, it was your kids. You needed to be the best for the kids, which means you needed to look at those kids and say, I've got to be the best for them, so that I need to be the best and make myself the best.
Yes.
Wow.
How can I tell my daughter that she's worth and she needs to love herself if I can't love myself? Mm. You know, it's a constant, it's a constant work in progress. Mm-hmm. You know, every day I'm saying, okay, what can I learn now? You know, and a learning lifestyle is central to my being. So what can I learn now today that I didn't know yesterday so that I can be better at being myself?
Right. Guys, I know that people are listening, and this is hitting me left, right, front, center, and all of really deep stuff. And I mean, let's even go on to the fact that you then experience a tornado where you almost, you didn't lose her, where it almost felt like you were about to lose your daughter. Well, tell me more about that.
Well, so, okay, after Jack and my children came back, I got pregnant with what I call a divorce baby. And so I got pregnant with my youngest son, and I developed peripartum cardiomyopathy, which is pregnancy-induced heart failure.
Right.
So I spent the whole pregnancy dying. The baby was born. Yes, it's one of those where your life stops in an instant, and the doctor says, go to your bed and pray that your baby is born before it kills you. And he was. So wow. He was born a couple months early. But we both lived, and it's beautiful. Well, so shortly after that, he's born at the end of January. So I'm just recovering from heart failure. My baby's, newly out of the hospital. This is in May now, to give you a little bit of time. And my older son is at school and my daughter is at the junior high. At the time, both my older children were in public school, because we homeschool now, and we've homeschooled on and off. And we lived in Moore, Oklahoma, which is like the tornado capital of the world. And a tornado was coming. And it was one of those history-making tornadoes where the newscaster is screaming on the TV, if you're not underground, you're dead. I'm in a closet with my infant son. And my daughter is at school and my son is at school. And in that moment, there's no time to go get them. You do not want to be outside in a tornado. Wow. So I'm in the closet, and I have my infant son strapped into his car seat and the carrier turned upside down and a mattress on top of it. Wow. Because if the house falls in, I want it to hit me, then the mattress, then the carrier, then the baby. Right? And my daughter had just gotten a cell phone, and she's texting, the principal comes on. She said she's worried. We're all having to go out in the hallway. The power just went out. And she says, Mama, I'm scared. What do I do? And I'm sitting here kneeling, waiting for this, and texting her back and saying, don't worry, just do what they say. It'll be all right. I'm right here with you. Just stay with me. And she says, Mama, I'm scared. And then a train goes by. If you've ever been in a tornado, it's like being in the path of a train. And the train goes by and the lights go out, right? And then all of a sudden, it passes, and I'm like, I lived, and my baby lived. And I get on the phone, and I text Samantha. I said, we're fine. The baby's fine. Everything's fine. And there's no answer. Nothing. And I say, oh no, what do I do? And so I pack up Daniel, and I go and I pick up Joshua. His school is right around the corner. And, he's got autism. He's like, I want some cake. He has no idea what's going on. And we get in the car and go and start heading to Samantha's school. And we get a couple blocks down the road, and the tornado missed my neighborhood by this much. A couple blocks from my house, it's total and complete devastation. Like, we can go no further. Somewhere on the other side of that war zone is my daughter. There are no roads heading there. What do you do? What do you do in that moment as a mother? Wow. And so I packed up my baby carrier and, this is fresh out of heart failure. And you can look at me, I'm not athletic. I packed up my baby carrier and I took my son by the hand, and we crawled for like a mile and a half over down power lines, through rubble, past like shell-shocked people that look like refugees, and empty slabs where there used to be houses and buildings. And it took us hours and hours and hours. And we get within sight of the school, and the school had collapsed. And cars were upside down on top of each other. And, I'm looking at it from this side, and it's like, how does anybody survive that? And my sons and I, we go around the corner, and there's my daughter sitting on the grass with her class. And she says, what took you so long? Because she knows I will come for her. And those are the relationships we need to build with our children, that they know that I'm your mother and I'm there for you, whatever it is. And now it took us, the trip back was, a lot slower because we weren't, but the feeling, because the whole time you're thinking, nobody can survive this. And that moment when you see your child and they look at you, and there was no doubt in their mind. She had no doubt in her mind that I was coming for her. That's the moment that the rest of your life starts at that moment. And it says, you are your child's hero. Wow. How are you going to be worthy of that?
Wow. I've got goosebumps going through my body right now. Wow. I cannot even imagine what you as a mother must have been feeling and thinking. I can't even imagine the emotions. The thing is, I'm over here in the UK, and obviously, like, really different size to America, really different way. And your houses are spaced up, and like, here everything is almost jam-packed, with each other. And I can't imagine what will happen, like, if we ever experience something like that. But every time that I hear there's a tornado in America or somewhere else, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, I can't imagine what the families are going through. And so to have someone share that experience and how it could have impacted on the family, and even the things you have to do and the measures you have to take to get your kids together. And even the fact that it doesn't even always give so much warning.
Right.
It's, wow. Big up.
I've since moved to Georgia, and I moved from Tornado Alley to Hurricane Central. And I tell people, I don't mind a hurricane because I am the first one to leave. The minute they say, well, there might be, I've already packed my car and we're headed out. Because in tornadoes, you don't get that. You don't get the ability to move. When a tornado's coming, it's coming. You better hope you're in a building.
Wow. So for you, like, I mean, with a lot of the stuff you have been through and experienced, and this is why I'm doing this, because I think that many times people find themselves in situations they never planned. And even more, we growing up, there are times I'm like, I wish we could go back to childhood when we didn't have to worry about many things, but adulting, it just comes at you, and sometimes we're not prepared for the things that life throws at us. The pandemic, nobody planned for it.
Right.
We didn't see it coming. It came, but what are your survival strategies for when life isn't fair? Because many times, just as we said, it comes at you, but a lot of the things that happen are just not fair.
Yes. And so my number one strategy, and this is the first thing I always tell people, get up. Period. Get up. It doesn't get any more complicated than that, because you can't see a way out with your face in the dirt. And if I can say one thing about all the times that life has knocked me down, and is that I always got up every single time. So that's where you always start, is get up. And then, like, the second thing is take stock. Look around you and see what you have that you can use. What you have, who you have, there's something. Even if it doesn't look like something, there's a way to use. This pandemic, for example, okay? We are stuck in our house, right? And it could be the worst thing ever. However, take stock and say, I have time now to focus. How can I focus on something that's going to lead me to the better place?
Wow.
Mm-hmm. The third thing is, remember who you are and who you represent. Since I've had children, that's carried me through more things than I can count. Remember who you are. And if you don't have children, remember who you are as a child of God, or a child of whatever you believe in. And there are people, and I tell people this all the time, because I deal with parents and children. My mother is bipolar, and my son is autistic, and my brother has a conduct disorder. There is somebody who will notice if you're gone. Even if it's the cashier at the corner store who waits for you to come in every day and smile at her, because not that many people do. You may not know it, but someone will notice if you're gone. Everybody impacts somebody. And, I saw a thing that talks about, I read a thing that talks about 7 degrees of separation. There's like a train of 6 people that connect us to every other person on the planet. If something happens to you, that chain gets broken. You are an important part of that chain. You are a link in that chain. So that's the third one. Then, I talked about make a choice, be bitter or be better. Pick your battles and your causes, because, you can't fight everything every time, all the time. Mm-hmm. So pick something. Pick something that you can start. Pick something. Even if it's just, today I'm going to put clothes on. I'm going to put clothes on today. And, during this pandemic, it's very easy for us to stay in our PJs all day.
Yeah.
It is. And the act of getting up and getting dressed drives you to, I've done this, now I can do something else. So pick something. One of my favorites, don't carry the donkey.
Tell me more about that. The donkey, where does that come in? Tell me more.
Don't carry the donkey. So what is the purpose of a donkey? A donkey is it's a beast of burden. It's meant to carry things for people, right? So the phrase don't carry the donkey is don't carry the donkey because the donkey's supposed to carry you. Don't make things harder than they have to be. Usually the simple explanation is the explanation. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, we want We want things to be complicated because we think life is complicated. Sometimes life sucks, and it's easier to explain away the fact that it's not fair if we say it's complicated. But sometimes it's not. A tornado is simple. It's simple. It's what you do with it. Don't make it complicated. Get your babies, hide. Once it's over, figure it out.
Wow. I'm not sure many people. Wow. I'm like, she said a tornado is simple. Oh my gosh. Because for many people, it's like, you probably like panic or fret, like, wow.
Well, and one of the things I do, I have what's called a household management binder.
Okay.
And it is a guide because several times in my life, I've been in a position where either A, a disaster had struck and I had to leave in a hurry, or B, someone has had to step in into my life. Twice in my life, I have gotten deathly ill. Once when I was pregnant, I got the heart failure. And then once last year, I got very, very sick. To the point where somebody literally had to step into my life and run it. And so what I've done is I have a manual, a guide to the running of my house. And it has several things. Like I have a family member information sheet for every member of my household that says what their sizes are. It says if they take medication. It says, my younger son hates water. He's screamed through every shower and bath his whole entire life, and he's 7 years old. He just hates water hitting him. Right? But it's in there because if someone has to step in, I have the safe 7 meals. 80% of the time you eat the same 7 meals every day. The same 7. And if you write those down, if somebody has to step in or if a disaster happens, that's not the time to change everything. That's time to keep standard what you can. Control what you can control so that then you can focus your attention on what you can't control. For my children, I have, they have their chores. On the back of every door, and I have another copy inside, this isn't my manual, I'm just, inside my household management binder, I have a checklist. So if I say clean your bedroom, there is no confusion what that means because I've written out a step-by-step checklist of what to do to clean your bedroom. Have you made your bed? Does your bed have both a bottom sheet, a top sheet, a blanket, and is your pillow at the top of the bed? If any of those are out, you haven't cleaned it, you can't check that out. And it's stated because I can control the communication so that I don't have to expend resources that can be better placed elsewhere. It's all about being intentional with what you do. And that's what don't carry the donkey is. Don't carry the donkey is keep the simple things simple so that you can focus on what's important.
Wow. As in, I'm just like, wow. Wow. And they're really heavy points and actually quite true, because when we can put a system around ourselves, then it makes it easier to navigate things when things are changing, because then we know the bits that we can control because we've simplified stuff for ourselves. Yeah. I think that is just so amazing that you actually have that book. And I guess, parents, that may be one really heavy tip for everyone, and even not just parents, like just for everyone in general, that we understand some of the systems around us so that we know what we can control. Because a lot of times we get anxious because we can't control things and we want control. But when we know that we can control something, it's
anything. We can control this.
Yeah. Wow. In your opinion, what do you think is the difference between surviving and thriving?
Hope. When you're surviving, you really don't think it's going to get better. I don't know. There's a old kids cartoon called I think it's called Ants, where the Queen Ant, and she's like, that's our lot, or they come, they eat, they leave. That's our lot in life. It's not a lot, but that's life. And watching that movie years ago, that always struck me because I always want to go, is it? Is this all there is? And surviving is going through life not expecting it to get better. When you have that idea that I am destined for more than this, then you take those baby steps and you begin to learn. That's what a learning lifestyle is. It's learning something new every day because you're destined for more than this. Wherever you could already be up here and you're destined for more than that. Or you could be down here and you're destined for more than that. That's what thriving is. It's stepping into your best expression, moving forward from wherever you're at.
Stepping into your best direction, moving forward from wherever you are. Brandy, I have so enjoyed, I've so enjoyed this sharing, this discussion, because it's so powerful. And I think especially for such a time as this, where could people go if they want to connect with you on any of this stuff? Where can they connect with you?
Well, I have a website. It's ExploringExpression.com. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I have a YouTube page. Any of those places. If they'd like to send me an email, I'm at exploringexpression.gmail.com, at exploringexpression@gmail.com. And if they reach out to me and they mention they saw me and they ask me, I actually have a PDF of the family member information sheets that I use in my household management binder that I'd be happy to give away.
Oh, nice. So guys, some free resource there, and all the links will also be in the description as well. Brandy, before we wrap up, there are people right now who have been really thrown upside down by the pandemic, right? I say that the storm came, but it's different boats. Some people are really doing really well. This is like an opportunity, this pandemic. You've heard of some businesses multiplying in value. So it's been really good for some. But for many others, this has really, really affected people in ways that they never saw coming. Businesses have been shut down. People's livelihoods have been taken away from them, either due to sudden job losses or, redundancies, or people just thrown off. I could go on.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
As we all look to bounce back, and we don't know at what point this pandemic, everyone is living with uncertainty, but trying to get through it. We're taking steps forward. What is your advice? What is your strategy? What is your tip for someone who is feeling my whole life has just gone upside down? Where do I start? How do I move forward? What will you tell them?
Learn something every day. Because you never know if that thing, this is your opportunity when everything's crashed to the bottom, this is your opportunity to learn all of the things you wish you could have learned. And there's access to it. Speak to people, learn from each other, learn something every day, because you never know which thing is the thing to propel you up.
Wow. See, find a learning opportunity in all of it. Brandy, thank you so much. I've literally had a lot of goosebumps as we've talked through, sort of a lot of amazing content here. So thank you so much. And guys, it's the end of another episode again, but please, if you have not already subscribed to the channel, YouTube or podcast, what are you waiting for? All links are in description. And if you're not already following me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, all links are in description. I look forward to connecting and even hearing what it is that you want me to talk about or want me to share. Brandy, it has been amazing having you on. All Brandy's details are in links to connect with her are also in the description. I hope you have found this episode valuable. I look forward to the next one. But guys, until next time, take care, stay well, and God bless you.
Thank you.